Okay, so you're looking to boost your English speaking skills, right? And, well, let's face it, finding ways to do that efficiently without spending endless hours studying, that's a top priority for so many people.
Time is always a factor.
Exactly. So you've definitely tuned into the right place. This time on the deep dive, we're basically extracting the most valuable techniques for improving spoken English. We're looking at a really practical exchange between two people.
Yeah, think of it less like theory and more like getting tips from friends who've actually, figured out what works.
Right. So our mission for you, listening, is pretty straightforward. By the end of this, you'll have concrete, actionable steps, things you can actually start using today to see some real progress.
Exactly. And what makes this material, I think, so valuable is that it's really rooted in real-world experience. It's not just abstract ideas.
It's peer-to-peer stuff.
Yeah, strategies that have worked basically boiled down.
Okay, so let's jump in. The first key technique that really surfaced in this conversation is this idea of narrating your everyday life in English. Now, your first thought might be, talking to myself, that sounds kind of weird. But let's unpack why this can be so effective.
Well, what's really insightful about it, I think, is how it just integrates English right into your daily routine, seamlessly. It's about creating this sort of constant internal monologue, or maybe even external, if you can. It makes English a living part of your day, not just something you sit down to study.
So it uses the familiar context of your day.
Exactly. You practice forming sentences, recalling words, without the pressure of some new complex topic.
Yeah.
It builds automaticity. English becomes more of a natural tool for your thoughts.
Precisely. So the core idea is you verbally describe to yourself, or maybe someone else if they're willing to listen, what you're doing, what you see, how you feel, what you're thinking. And the conversation we looked at had some really clear examples. Like you can literally ask yourself in English, okay, what am I doing right now? Well, I'm sitting here listening, or look around, what do I see?
A computer, a coffee cup.
Yeah, simple observations, almost like being a commentator on your own life, just in English.
And a really practical question that came up for them was, well, should you speak out loud or just do it silently in your head?
Yeah, the volume question.
Right. And their conclusion was pretty sensible, really. It just depends on the context.
Makes sense.
When you're alone, speaking aloud, super beneficial. It helps with the physical act, the muscle memory of actually forming English sentences.
Okay.
But, if you're on the bus or somewhere public, maybe just running that narration silently in your mind, it's still really effective practice.
So the key is consistency.
That's what they emphasized, yeah. Consistent use of English this way.
Right. Consistency is the name of the game here. Building that habit, thinking and speaking in English whenever you can, even for small things. And the benefits they talked about, well, a few key things. Increased fluency, just speaking more smoothly,
Yeah, that flow.
Greater confidence when you actually talk to other people, and just generally being better at expressing yourself in English. It makes perfect sense, really, the more you use it like this.
The more natural it becomes.
Yeah.
And from a language acquisition view, it's kind of brilliant because you're actively retrieving vocabulary and building sentences in real time.
But often in a low-stakes way, just with yourself.
Exactly. Great for reinforcing the basics without the pressure.
Okay, let's move on. The second really crucial tip that came out, improving pronunciation. This is a big one for a lot of learners.
Oh, definitely.
And the advice here was quite direct, very actionable, listen carefully to, and then imitate native or highly fluent English speakers.
And what's key here is the active listening part and the mimicking. It's not just passive hearing.
Right.
It's consciously noticing the subtle things, pronunciation details, the accent, the intonation that rise and fall of the overall rhythm.
Why is mimicking so important there?
Well, it helps you internalize those phonetic nuances.
Yeah.
You go beyond just single sounds and capture the rhythm, the music of the language, which is so crucial for sounding natural. It actually taps into the same way kids learn their first language.
Interesting. Okay, so the example sentence they used was simple. What a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And the process is listen to someone say it, then repeat it. But really try to match their accent, their intonation, like how the voice goes up on beautiful, maybe down on day.
Our whole flow.
Yeah, the rhythm. And here's a great little pro tip they mentioned. Record yourself saying it.
Ah, yes. The recording step.
Then compare your recording to the original speaker. That can be incredibly revealing, right? It helps you pinpoint where you need to adjust.
Absolutely. And that leads to the question, well, what should you practice with?
Good point.
And their suggestion was basically any sentence or phrase you hear or read, keep it simple at first, maybe.
They gave examples like the weather is beautiful, the sky is blue, the birds are singing.
Yeah, common phrases. Excellent for practicing those basic sounds and getting that natural English musicality down.
Exactly. It's training your ear and your mouth. Recognizing the subtleties, producing the sounds and patterns correctly.
And the more you do that kind of focused imitation with different sounds, different sentence types, the more natural your own pronunciation becomes.
It really goes back to how we learn as kids, doesn't it?
It really does. Listening, imitating, it taps into that fundamental learning mechanism.
Okay, so let's delve into the third key area, expanding vocabulary. Seems obvious, maybe, but they had some really practical strategies.
Yeah, beyond just learn more words.
Right. Step one, okay, is actively learning new words and phrases regularly.
Yeah.
Using a dictionary, an app, whatever works for you. Even just jotting down words you encounter.
But what's really insightful here, I think, is combining that direct study with learning vocabulary in context. Just memorizing lists, often not enough for real recall.
True. You need to see how they're used. Which leads right to the next part of the tip. Immerse yourself in diverse English reading materials.
And the advice wasn't, go read Shakespeare immediately.
No. Read stuff that actually interests you, whatever the level.
Right. Books, articles, blogs, forums, anything in English that grabs your attention.
And here's the crucial process bit. When you hit words you don't know, don't just skip them.
Don't gloss over them.
Ah.
They really stress noting them down. Look up the meaning. And then this is key, create your own practice sentences using those new words.
Yeah, the active engagement part?
Yes. It helps solidify your understanding, makes it much easier to remember and actually use the word later.
That makes total sense. Putting it in your own context really cements it. And they gave a great range of reading ideas too, didn't they?
Yeah, tailored to different levels and interests, like for beginners, maybe children's books or comics. Really accessible, enjoyable.
Or magazines. Novels you've already read in your own language. That's clever. You already know the plot.
Exactly. Movie scripts were another interesting one. See how dialogue works.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously reading about your hobbies, your studies, your job, sports, science, business news, whatever keeps you engaged. That helps you get vocabulary that's immediately relevant.
The main message seemed to be, find something you actually like reading, something that motivates you to keep going and encounter new language.
It really mirrors how we learn words naturally in our first language, doesn't it? A lot just comes from reading widely.
It does. Okay, on to the fourth and final major tip. This is often the one people find maybe the most challenging, but also the most rewarding.
Yes. Practicing speaking with native or fluent English speakers.
And it's understandable, right? That step can feel daunting. Fear of mistakes, nervousness.
Totally. But what's insightful here is the focus on actively working to overcome that fear, because having those conversations is just invaluable for building confidence and improving real fluency.
Absolutely. So where do you find these people? The conversation gave some concrete examples.
Yeah, things like language exchange programs, in person or online, conversation clubs, online communities for language learners.
All good starting points.
And it brings up another important point, the extra benefits you get beyond just practice.
Like what?
Well, you might find tutors or mentors who give you direct feedback. You might make friends, learn slang, new expressions you won't find in books.
Okay, yeah.
And crucially, you get exposed to their accent, their natural tone, their body language, their gestures, even bits of their culture. It all adds up to a richer understanding.
It really does sound like a more holistic learning experience, immersive.
And they highlighted the fun social side of it too. It's not just about grammar drills, it's about connecting with people.
Right. They even mentioned specific online platforms for finding language partners, I think.
They did. Because if you think about what makes someone a really effective communicator, it's more than just words and rules.
Sure.
It's understanding conversational cues, nonverbal stuff, feeling comfortable expressing yourself in real time. Practice with native speakers gives you exactly that kind of invaluable experience.
Definitely. Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive, it's probably worth quickly revisiting some specific vocabulary words that actually came up in the conversation we've been discussing.
Yeah, good idea. Reinforce the learning.
Exactly. Maybe add a few new tools to your own kit. So the words they highlighted were annoyed. The example was, she gave me an annoyed look.
Okay, annoyed.
Then imitate, like in, can you imitate his accent? Which ties into our pronunciation discussion.
Why imitate?
Expand. Example. Take a deep breath and expand your chest.
Expand.
Nervousness, that feeling before speaking, you know?
Nervousness, we talked about that.
Consistently. As in, I think the team played consistently this season, like doing something regularly.
Consistently, key for practice.
And finally, gestures. Referring to his facial expressions and hand gestures leave little doubt as to what he is thinking. Body language, basically.
Gestures, right. And seeing these words in context, in those sentences, really helps lock them in, doesn't it? Shows how they're actually used.
Definitely does. So, okay, let's bring it all together. Our deep dive into this conversation has basically given us 4 key techniques. Practical ways to boost your English speaking, even if you're short on time. First, make English part of your day by narrating your life.
Yep, the commentary technique.
Second, refine your pronunciation through active listening and imitation.
Listen and copy.
Third, consistently expand your vocabulary. Read stuff you like, actively engage with new words.
Read and record.
And fourth, maybe the biggest one, find ways to practice speaking with native or fluent speakers.
Overcome that hurdle. It's worth it.
And the crucial thing, as you said earlier, is that these aren't like huge abstract goals. They're all practical steps.
Realistic things you can weave into your routine.
Yeah.
Small, consistent efforts really add up over time. You will see improvements.
Absolutely. So here's a final thought for everyone listening. Out of these 4 techniques, narrating life, imitating pronunciation, expanding vocab through reading, practicing with others, which one kind of resonates most strongly with you right now?
Good question.
And maybe more importantly, what's one small thing, one tiny step you could take today to start putting that technique into practice? How can you begin unlocking that next level for yourself?
Yeah, it's all about starting.
Exactly. Take that first action, embrace the journey, keep improving.